Greetings all, I am the One Nerd, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the One Nerd Reviews. Hey, do you remember things? Remember the 80s? Remember the Iron Giant? Remember Back to the Future? Remember Adventure? The Shining? Remember video games? Remember Tab and John Hughes? There, you pretty much understand the plot of the movie that I was going to talk about today, but hey, I got nothing else better going on, so let's dive in anyway. This is Ready Player One.
My name's Wade Watts. My dad picked that name because it sounded like a superhero's alter ego, like Peter Parker or Bruce Banner. But he died when I was a kid, my mom too. And I ended up here.
Ready Player One, based on the book of the same name, was released in 2018, and is one of those rare instances where the screenplay was actually co-written by the original author himself. And I just want to say right up front that I've actually never fully read the book that this movie is based on. I've tried several times to get through it, but I just cannot get that first part because the story always seems to get distracted by just reference after reference after reference, and it's just so hard to get through. And I've tried to listen to the audiobook as well, but, you know, will we?
But shut up, Wesley.
As such, this will only be a review of the movie, not a comparison between what changes were made between the book and the movie, although I do bring up a few points here or there of stuff that I do know that were changed from, but not like huge things. This isn't one of those things. And since the movie was actually co-written by the author of the book, which is a rarity in these times, we can't really say anything bad came of Lost in Adaptation. But enough of the setup, let's get to this fever dream of a movie. We start off this movie with an instant YouTube copyright content block enabler. It's a good thing that I don't care about ad revenue. Or am popular enough to qualify for it. We drop right into the world with 10 or so minutes of solid exposition, where we learn the state of the world in this far distant future.
I was born in 2027.
Well, I guess 2020 is going to be the start of a real downslide going forward. But what could have caused this dystopian future where there's so little space that trailers have to be stacked on top of each other and yet still somehow have the bandwidth in order to access a fantastical and hyper-realistic VR world?
After the corn syrup droughts, after the bandwidth riots, after people stopped trying to fix problems and just tried to outlive them.
Huh. Okay. I'm not really sure if that's supposed to be a joke or not, or an actual serious foreboding thing. I mean, bandwidth riots I get. That kind of does make sense. That is something that might be an issue, but corn syrup droughts, that's just silly. You know what corn syrup is, right? But I get it. The world building behind this movie is not that important. But really, you didn't have to invent new things to make the world a worse place to drive up escapism. You see, nowadays when you go outside, all you see is
My mom saved my life. My dad wanted to abort me.
and that's why I don't go outside that much. In this exposition dump, we are introduced to the VR wonderland of the Oasis, which is a place where you can do anything, except for the things you need special items to do. And its creator, Holiday, who after his death set up a special contest and hunt for 3 special keys. Whoever collects the keys and accesses the Easter egg will gain control of the Oasis, and all of the benefits and money that go with it. It's kind of like the plot of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, except, let's face it, running a chocolate factory would be fun for about a week, and then you notice your teeth start to rot, and you can't fit through doors that you used to. Our hero, Wade Watts, or as his avatar is known, Parzival, meets up with his friend H as they set up for a race event in the game for the first key, which no one has been able to beat since the 5 years the contest has been going on. It's there we're introduced to our villains of the movie, IOI, and its CEO, Nolan Sorrento, who want to control the Oasis so they can enact the heinous scheme of putting ads in it. Oh no, we wouldn't want ads to run in the Oasis. We wouldn't want to ruin the integrity of Minecraft world. The race for the first key takes place in an obstacle and trap-ridden version of New York, which is not out of the ordinary for the real thing, except this also has a T-Rex and King Kong. During the race, Parsifal notices a famous egg hunter, which they call Gunters, named Artemis, competing in the race.
I've seen all her walkthroughs, her Twitch streams. It's her.
I've even put in a pre-order for her bathwater. Seriously, Wade does seem like the kind of person who would spend all of his money on a Twitch ETHOD to get the slightest bit of attention whatsoever. Although I guess since she does have to stream in her CG avatar form, you could kind of say that Ready Player One kind of predicted the trend of anime e-girls, so you gotta give him a point for that. The race itself is pretty great. This movie has a lot of sequences like this, which really showcases what this movie is best for, a great tech demo to show off a 4K home entertainment system. I don't mean that as a negative per se, it's a great looking sequence. There's just not a lot of substance keeping it all together. I know it's strange to be saying it this early in the review, especially since we have so much movie still to go through, but Ready Player One's not really a bad movie, but it's in no ways a good movie, and in a lot of cases it's really annoying. Just like all the races beforehand, everyone fails, but before Artemis can be crushed with her bike, Parsifal goes in for the save. You see, that dramatic save might have been a little bit more dramatic if there were any stakes to this whatsoever. But it does give our meet cute for Artemis and Parsifal. If this were a wee bit realistic, she would be a dude. Artemis is obviously pissed that her bike is wrecked, but Parsifal offers to have H fix it for her, since he is the best builder in the Oasis.
Where'd you find an Iron Giant?
Find it? I'm building it.
Oh man, cool! An Iron Giant! I sure hope that it's not later used in a way that completely goes against its source material. Parsifal nerds out a bit and starts rattling off references.
The Galactica, of course. Mako from Aliens. Forge from Silent Running. Oh, where's the Harkonnen dropship? That thing is sick. Folds space like a boss. I mean...
Because that's what happens in this movie. That's like the whole movie. That's it. And Artemis quizzes him on his holiday knowledge. Typical gamer girl, thinking that she can just quiz a random guy anytime that she wants to try and weed out if he's a fake gamer guy. Frankly, it's insulting.
James Halliday's favorite first-person shooter. What?
Oh, GoldenEye.
Playing as?
Odd Job. Is this a test?
Favorite game variant?
Game variant with slappers only. No weapons.
I know what slappers only means. Racer?
Turbo. Oh, and his favorite food was Hot Pockets. Favorite restaurant was Chuck E. Cheese. Song was Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. Video was Take on Me by a his favorite quote was from Superman.
Huh. You know, this Holiday guy kind of sounds like a bit of a basic bitch. I mean, not to sound like I'm an expert and, oh, I'm so much more, hip and underground than this guy, but, I mean, seriously, why was this guy so popular? I'm not saying that you only have to love obscure things that no one's ever heard of to be cool, but his interests match up perfectly with countless others that lived around the 80s and early 90s. Except, no one's favorite food is Hot Pockets, okay? I'm not even sure that you can classify that as food. When Artemis asks Parsifal what he would do with all the money if he were to win, he lists off all the things that you would expect. Mansions, cool shit.
Now I know why you stopped short.
I can't afford to zero out.
You're afraid to lose your shit.
Well, yeah, if he hadn't have worried about it, he would have lost everything, and then he would have had to start all over in his search for this thing that you care about so much.
What happens when IOI offers you guaranteed coin for the keys to the kingdom? Nolan Sorrento takes over the world. A real Gunter would risk everything to save the Oasis from IOI.
This comes completely out of nowhere. I mean, he saves her, right? He saves her from zeroing out and losing all of her stuff, and gets her bike fixed for free, and she thanks him by just chewing him out because he says that he would buy a house if he were to win. And this is framed later on as the push Wade needs in order to figure out the clue and figure out what to do or, where to go to figure it out. I mean, maybe if there was, some sort of indication during the conversation or something that he would sell the keys to IOI or do something like that, then maybe I could see this. Like if he talked about, IOI is not so bad and they made all this stuff and they do all that, but they don't. Like he in the beginning narration, he talks about, oh, these guys are bad and they needed to be stopped and they're trying to get this thing too. So I don't understand what's going on. After this, Wade heads back to his home. Since his parents died from a lack of corn syrup, I guess, he lives with his aunt and her shitty boyfriends.
Boot suit, you noob.
Stop! No! No!
I would call the police.
No, we are not calling the cops. If I catch you touching my stuff again, not joking, out.
Obviously, Artemis doesn't know Wade's life at this point, doesn't know his life situation, but it's still framed weird at this point that she is proven right in taking him down a notch for saying that he wanted to use this contest to improve his life. I mean, a lot of people would want their lives improved in this dystopian future. But I'm sure Artemis has it just as bad, in order to motivate her to do better. I'm sure that she doesn't have, something superficial like some stupid birthmark on her eye. Surely. Artemis's words do inspire Wade to take a closer look at the archives again for clues. Apparently, Holiday, for some reason, archived video of his entire life into fully rendered and 3D formats, including...
Also, Halliday archived every film, game, book, and television program he ever saw, located on the mezzanine.
Like, that doesn't seem, legal at all. I mean, did he see the Simpsons episode Stark Raving Dad? And if so, does he get to keep that on his subscription service? This raises so many questions. The memory in question he decides to go to is one that sheds light on the relationship between Holiday and his former partner in the creation of the Oasis, Ogden Morrow, played by Simon Pegg.
All right, if you make something people want or need, then it's up to you to set the limits. You have to make some rules.
I don't want to make any more rules.
We started this movie learning that there are artifacts that let you do special things for a limited time, and it's also a rule that if you die, you lose all your stuff. You set clear rules and limitations. Wade gives up, but before he can leave, he overhears a line he never noticed before.
Backwards. Really fast. Fast as we can.
Look, I understand that this is not a movie that I should be taking seriously and that I should be micro-analyzing and all of this, but just listen to that line delivery.
Backwards. Really fast. Fast as we can.
You telling me that in 5 years, nobody could have figured out the complicated process of, hey, let's drive backwards? I don't really know who this says more about, the Gunters who couldn't figure this simple thing out after 5 years, or Holiday for that being the only way to convey that this is how you beat the challenge. A new race is about to begin, and Artemis realizes she was maybe being a bit of a tool, and decides to apologize to the stranger who helped her.
Careful not to lose your shit.
Our love interest, ladies and gentlemen. With his newfound knowledge of the trick to the race, Wade drives backwards and ends up in the area under the race, and is able to easily drive through it while avoiding all the obstacles, being the very first to cross the finish line and win the first key. Along with the key, he also gets a bunch of coin that he immediately blows on 2 references and a suit that helps him feel pain in the game.
20,000 for the holy hand grenade? That's a steal. Zemeckis cube. I need one of those.
Huh. Maybe Artemis was right about him. With the first key found, the CEO of IOI and Big Bad, Nolan Sorrento, goes to IROC, played by pre-blacklisted TJ Miller, to put a hit out on Wade.
The steampunk pirate king. I knew him well, Sorrento.
IROC has a really nice design, but because he is played by TJ Miller, he's one of those villains who looks intimidating, but makes little jokes and says stupid things, so it's hard to really be intimidated. That being said, he was still one of the few things I got any kind of enjoyment out of in this movie.
To be honest, I have kind of a neck thing. It's like a carpal tunnel deal, but with your neck, if that's even a thing. So if you could just stand to your right, my right, your left.
Wade lets it leak the way to win the challenge, and Artemis, H, and 2 Asian stereotypes also get the key and the clue. Yeah, those 2 are Daito and Sho. They're not really important now, but they're sort of important later, so we'll just get to them later. The bigger issue here is I mean, doesn't anybody watch these races in order to get an idea of what to do? I mean, shouldn't everyone in the Oasis have figured out how to do this by now? And why can multiple people get these keys? No time to think of these questions. More references.
No, you can't. What? Just go wherever you want.
Clark Kent glasses.
Have you forgotten about all the things that don't make sense yet? Great, let's move on. Wade and Artemis go over more Holiday footage and figure out the clue given with the first key.
So what happened?
Nothing. I invited her over.
Well, did you at least get her name?
Karen. Okay, Karen Underwood.
No, Karen Underwood. As in Ogden Morrow's wife?
Wait, why don't you know that? I thought you were this hardcore gunter who was all gun-ho about finding the keys and figuring out these clues and finding the Easter eggs. It was just so important. Yeah, they say in the movie that her name is only mentioned once by Holiday, but it was still mentioned once that he went on a date with her, and then she marries his friend and business partner. That seems like something that would affect someone as clearly autistic as this dude. But no time to think about that. Even more references!
Hey, dude, she's giving me a clue. Maybe I'm the one using her. Should I go more thriller? Duran Duran. I got it.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what Buckaroo Banzai is. And I say that as a person who owns Buckaroo Banzai. Wade meets up with Artemis at a virtual nightclub, which was apparently constructed by Holiday after his failed date. Thinking this might be the creation hated by its creator, they take a leap of faith on the dance floor to see if that does anything. Those Tracer and Harley Quinn models show up so much in this movie. It reminds me of the average SFM section of 4chan. Artemis gets a little handsy during their dance session.
Can you feel this?
See, again, if this were more realistic, he would need a new suit. IROC tracks the two down and monitors them. Wadley stupidly confesses to Artemis and gives his real name.
You crazy? You don't tell anyone who you are. You can't use your real name.
Yeah, you really gotta be careful about that. I can only imagine that cancel culture has gotten even worse in the future. Before IROC can take care of Wade, IOI bursts in for some reason and attacks them.
It's an ambush.
It's never really explained why they attack or really how. You would think that Holiday, when he built this nightclub as a tribute to his lost love, would block PvP combat.
Did you hear what I said? I said I'm in love with you.
No, you're not. You know what I want you to know. You only see what I want you to see. That's what you're in love with.
This is your fault, Artemis. You know that, right? You don't dirty dance with a dude without giving him the impression he has a shot. All seems lost, but Wade pulls out a reference that causes time to reverse.
And you waited until now to use it?
Hey, okay, don't point out your own plot holes, okay? That's what I'm supposed to do. Finally out of danger, the two calmly plan their next move.
We're amazing.
This isn't a game, Z.
It literally is. You're literally in a game, looking for 3 keys to unlock a door to get to an Easter egg. That's a game.
I'm doing this to stop IOI. I'm talking about real-world consequences.
Oh yeah, you're really trying hard there. Let's go back to the tape. Yeah, you're really out to win at any cost. She also gives her tragic backstory.
My dad died in a loyalty center. He borrowed gear. He built up debt. He moved in with the promise of working it out, but he never did. IOI just raised his living expenses, then he got sick and he couldn't afford to get out, and then he died!
So your dad racked up a bunch of debt and then he died, huh? You know, I've seen several hentai with that plot point before, but they usually have you pay off the debt for him in another way. Thanks to IROC's digging, he gives Nolan the real-world identity of Wade. Nolan proceeds to invite him for a sit-down and makes a deal with him to become an employee of IOI and get paid to hunt the egg. Wade is of course distrustful, so Nolan tries to relate to Wade.
Because the first thing that I would do is convert all the schools on Ludus to replicas from the Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller. I'd crack open a tab, I'd put on some Duran Duran, I'd play Robotron. That's why I love the Oasis, because it's just full of all these things, man, that people love, you know?
A company head / business trying to win over a nerd with a string of references? Where have I seen that before? This movie honestly seems like the cinematic equivalent of, "Hello, fellow youth." Wade sees through Nolan's ploy and refuses, so Nolan initiates Plan B and decides to blow up his trailer. However, he is not in fact in it, and instead his aunt and trashy boyfriend die, as do everyone in that stack. Oh no, not his abusive aunt who threatened to kick him out and makes him sleep on a washer dryer while it's running for some reason. Ah, so tragic. Wade tries to get a message to everyone, even Daito and Sho, even though they've only had like one line each thus far. But he is kidnapped by a mysterious figure. It seems like Wade is in a real pickle here. Will he get out of this situation? Will he ever find the Easter egg? And how does a junkyard have the bandwidth capable of running such an intricate and powerful program like the Oasis? The answers to most of these questions will be answered right after these messages.
Now back to our show.
Blossom, Bubbles, Buttercup, 3 names, 3 girls, 3 days till their movie opens. Oh, and 3 tickets. 1 for me, my mom, and dad. We'll be there. Will you?
Be there. The Powerpuff Girls movie. Only in theaters July 3rd. Rated PG.
Nasty cool. Cool to the core.
Billy Gibson is thinking about getting an Xbox. He's thinking about the 70 incredible titles like Spider-Man and MotoGP. He's thinking about Xbox's awesome graphics and gameplay. What he's not thinking about is landing the 50-50 grind.
Anyone see my board?
Xbox, now $199. Think Xbox.com to win a Cadillac Escalade and up to 70 games. Rated E through T.
You are a curious young man, and curiosity could have repercussions. But lucky you, you get rewarded with a nice vanilla Coke. The smooth flavor of vanilla, the refreshment of Coke. So intriguing. I'm glad you like it. Jimmy, reward your curiosity with new vanilla Coke.
They don't like pets. They don't like people. And they don't like you. From the producers of Independence Day and Godzilla.
What exactly is that?
Spider-Man. 8-Legged Freaks, rated PG-13. Starts Friday, July 19th.
Video log. Giant robot reported stalking North Countryside.
This looks like big trouble.
We're on our way. Get down.
This one's going out to all the ladies.
Feel a strange force here. You even think about this in a paper. Now, transform!
1, 2, 3, 4.
Time to go to work. Triumph over all evil!
Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be the only one for me is you.
Something's gone wrong in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo. Introducing Super Smash Bros., where all your favorite characters go toe-to-toe in one 4-player star-studded slam fest, only on Nintendo 64.
Now we're back and we're no jerks. 'Cause we're on Monsters Network.
When we last left Wade, he had turned down a sweet deal and got his house blown up. And got kidnapped by a creepy-looking bald dude. Luckily, the bald dude turns out to be working for the good guys, and brings Wade to a rebellion base, run by none other than...
Artemis?
My real name is Samantha, but yeah.
Samantha takes Wade on a tour of the base, and they start to get to know each other IRL.
It's all the same in the Oasis.
Is that supposed to be a dramatic reveal? Because it kind of looks like you got something on your face there, but it's really hard to tell.
For the record, I'm not disappointed.
I've lived with it my whole life. You don't have to pretend.
Pretend about what? Your birthmark?
You have a birthmark. So what? Why would that scare me?
Good question. Why would he be scared of that? This is an ongoing trend in Hollywood to make sure the protagonist has something that makes them ugly, but not too ugly. Remember Zuko from The Last Airbender? Or that terrible Twilight ripoff Beastly? Oh yeah, who could ever find this beast attractive? With his piercing eyes, manly jawline, pouty lips, and abs you just want to run your fingers over? Who could ever love a beast like him? Hey Hollywood, you actually want to make your character repulsive and ugly so that your main heroine really has to try hard to look at the heart underneath? Huh? Right here. I'm always available. Right here. Contact me. Contact@theonenerd.com. Right here. I got you covered. Samantha and Wade almost share a kiss, but this apparently triggers a theory for the next clue.
At the movies. Hey, Curator.
We figured out the second clue. The challenge is here.
Halliday kept track of every movie he ever watched, the week and the year he watched it, and how many times. Curator, can we see November 23 to 27, 2025? That's the week he went on the date with Kira.
I still don't understand the legality of him being able to archive every single movie and TV show that he ever watched. I mean, is he just a master negotiator? I mean, in 2020, every single TV network has a streaming service for themselves. I mean, even NBC has one. It's called Peacock, and that's a bad name, and they only have like 5 seasons of Law and Order. Why would you only have 5 seasons of the show that's the whole purpose of having this network? The crew try to track down the movie using the clue, a creator who hates his own creation.
The Shining. It's Halliday's 11th favorite horror film, and it's based on the best-selling book by Stephen King, who hated the movie.
I'm sorry, Mahler, I'm gonna be stealing this point. This is actually the whole reason that I wanted to do this review, so thanks for reminding me that this movie existed. This solution makes no sense. Stephen King didn't hate his creation. He didn't create The Shining, not the movie anyway. He wrote the book, and clearly loved it, because he got so upset at the changes in the movie, which is odd considering the changes he was cool with for Dr. Sleep. Now, if you wanted an example of a creator that hates his own creation, why not Star Wars? I mean, you can't really say that George Lucas hated Star Wars, but he hated the original way that it was made so much that he went back so many times to do special editions and retcons and all that sort of thing. That would have made a lot more sense, and you could have gotten a lot out of going back and doing Star Wars stuff, making jokes about special editions and CG upgrades and that CG Jabba and all that sort of thing. But, you know, I get it. You're constrained by stuff like budget and things like that and, you know, what rights that you hold. So I understand. That's not a huge point against it. It just, again, the whole point of The Shining just doesn't make any sense. The way that you put it in doesn't make sense. The way that you explained it. Or, you know, hey, I mean, come to think of it, there were a bunch of Batman boxes in that scene. They may fit as well. Saying that Tim Burton hated his own creation would kind of make a little bit more sense. I mean, in interviews, he never really saw himself as a Batman fan or a comic fan. I mean, he even famously said that he never read a Batman comic before making the movie. It is still a bit of a stretch, but you can say it makes a little bit more sense than The Shining. Anyway, they enter the Shining world, which is less the movie and more a semi-Kingdom Hearts version of it, where, while it's a perfect recreation, there are changes to make it more video gamey, including the bathtub ghost lady turning into a knife-wielding monster, and the ending maze turned up to 11. He handled that so poorly. I mean, obviously, the best way to defeat the bathtub ghost is to trap it in some sort of weird psychic Pokeball. I mean, that makes sense, right? Right? I didn't really enjoy Dr. Sleep. The team notice Halliday and Kira in the picture of the ballroom and head there, finding Kira among a bunch of dancing ghost zombies. You know, if this were anyone else, I would feel that Halliday's obsession with Kira is kind of creepy. Like, he built the whole challenge around this relationship that never was. Not because he was rejected, but because he never went for it. And this is a challenge that's supposed to determine who's going to control his company. You're one of the most popular people in the world, man. You got the world excited about a big dumb nerd thing. I mean, join a dating site. I gotta imagine that they're pretty kick-ass in the Oasis. Samantha takes the leap to get the Oasis Kira, and to get the key, while the others are sucked out of the world. Yeah, I forgot to mention there was a ticking clock for some reason, and when it runs out, it sucks out everyone except Samantha for some reason. Which seems pointless because it sucks them out to the start, and there seems to be no indication that they can't try again, because it's shown later that Wade gets the key. So what's the point of the ticking clock? And for that matter, has no one entered this shining world before this? Even if you were to say that it's only triggered by the finding of the first key, everyone on the planet plays this damn game. And I'll say, if I walked into the shining world and found all these changes, especially to the ballroom, I would be pissed. I would want my money back. And how does this game even make money? How much does it cost? Damn, I'm thinking too much. Where are all the references? So with Wade and Samantha both with a key, Nolan discovers that Wade is not really dead, and takes drastic action to put an end to their hunt for the egg. They manage to track down the bald dude who kidnapped Wade, and follow him back to the hideout, where they proceed to raid the place. Let this be a lesson to you. Don't let the person with the most identifiable feature be the one who actually goes out and does stuff. Samantha would have been actually the best person to do this. Her birthmark is less noticeable than his tattoo. Samantha is captured and taken to an IOI loyalty center, which is basically a debtor's prison situation, where people in debt to IOI work for them, in the Oasis, until they pay off their debt. But of course, since IOI is evil, they find ways to extend that.
You will be remanded to the nearest IOI loyalty center until your debt is paid in full, including any interest, processing, or late fees you incur henceforth.
I get that this is a semi-dystopian future and IOI is the second biggest company in the world despite it not really being clear what they do, but that doesn't make any sense. You can't do that. Like, sure, it's a cliche, a big corporation who actually runs the world and they can do whatever, but that's never really established. I mean, it's said that they're the second biggest corporation in the world, but how do they have the ability to make their own debtor's prison? Wade is able to escape capture and immediately runs into his best friend in the Oasis, H, who turns out in real life to be a woman named Helen. Wade joins her as well as the real-life versions of Daito and Sho to save Samantha.
You're the world's most badass 11-year-old ever.
And I say that based on the minute of screen time that you've had so far. We see Samantha trapped in the loyalty center, where she is being used as labor to help IOI unlock the final challenge, which they have already deciphered. Speaking of, Nolan arrives at the location of the challenge to see the progress on unlocking it.
An Atari 2600, sir. Every game ever made for it. Thousands of possibilities.
This is how you plan to resolve the fate of the world's most important economic resource?
Yeah, it sounds real stupid when you say it out loud, doesn't it? But, to be fair, I did used to watch a show where the fate of the world centered around a children's card game, so, you know, whatever. Nolan meets with IROC, who erects a huge barrier over the area where the final challenge is, something that can only be destroyed from the inside. It's a shame TJ Miller seems to be done for the most part with movies, because his performance really does shine through this movie. And for that matter, Ben Mendelsohn as Nolan is great too. His voice and lisp give him a unique twist and he just takes every scene so seriously. He's really great. Nolan leaves the Oasis only to be confronted by Wade and Naito holding guns. Well shit, this is taking a turn. However, it turns out to be a trick from the crew. It turns out they are still in the Oasis, and they just hacked his headset. Well, that's less cool than him coming in all guns blazing, but man, still pretty clever. They are able to see the interior for where Samantha is and help her escape.
Slide it to the left, that should release you.
It worked! It worked him out!
Loyalty Pod 41F.
Wait, why is the door release on the inside? Like, if this were a legitimate thing, I could understand needing an emergency switch in case something happened. But this is a prison. Why would the evil IOI build an easy way for someone to escape it? I guess it's also a cliche that the big evil corporation also be incompetent, so I guess it's okay then. Samantha is given the code for Nolan's super cool Oasis rig, and she moves to try to take down the shield from the inside. Meanwhile, our heroes are so stupid they can't be bothered to close the door. So, Nolan discovers that he is being fooled.
Finale, they've hacked my rig. They're after the girl. Meet me at Loyalty.
But with Nolan out, Samantha is able to slip in and get the spell needed to disable the shield. Meanwhile, Wade sends a message to all of the Oasis, which he can do for some reason, and asks all the members to help their fight against IOI.
Because I found something much bigger than just myself. I found a cause. I found my friend. And yes, I know it's kind of a groaner, but I found love.
Why are there people just hanging around outside with VR headsets on? Seriously, that is so weird to see. What's the point of that? What advantage does it give you? Isn't that really dangerous? Don't people have homes? It can't be a social thing because people are social in the Oasis without having to meet with each other. That's the whole point. Wade makes his last call for the Oasis to join the fight. And they do that thing where it's like, oh no, no one's coming. Will we have to do this all alone? But then... my God. It's an army of references. As the new Oasis army tries in vain to break the shield, and Samantha, now back in the Oasis, moves to tear it down, IOI is finally on the right track for the answer to the final quest.
It's Adventure. Released in 1979 for the 2600, Adventure was created by Warren Robinette, who was the first video game designer ever to hide his name. In fact, it was the first representation ever of human beings in it.
Play Adventure.
What was that look about? Samantha is successful in disabling the shield, and the Oasis army and IOI clash for the final battle.
First to the key!
Yeah, the rest of this battle is just wall-to-wall references. Iron Giant being used as a weapon of mass destruction, which is wrong for so many different reasons. Chucky being used as a weapon.
Get rid of it!
It's fucking Chucky! Yep, just in case you didn't know what the reference was, they just say it for you. Nolan busting out Mechagodzilla.
Mechagodzilla!
Now see that I can understand you calling out that reference because that looks nothing like Mechagodzilla. Everyone forgot about the Michael Bay Turtles as soon as they came out. So much so that the sequel bombed even harder than I think people were expecting. So there's no way that kids would be playing as those turtles past 2040. Now an army of Master Chiefs, now that I can see. For a while we just see wall-to-wall references and Easter eggs, and it all seems kind of hollow. That's actually pretty cool. Damn you, Ready Player One, you got me. Although, from my understanding, in the original book, it was Ultraman that he turned into originally for this fight, which I think would have been cooler. It would have gotten you a little bit more nerd credit if you used Ultraman instead of Gundam. Stuff, things and stuff, until Wade arrives at the Atari system. It seems like the IOI agent is about to win and get the final key when...
I won!
Turns out the real challenge is to get the Easter egg in Adventure, since Adventure had the first Easter egg in a video game. Which is actually a pretty clever clue. I mean, it's certainly more clever than the concept of wanting to go back in time because you wasted your life and putting a representation of your unrequited love into a zombie dance party. But before Wade can get the final key, Nolan appears and threatens to use a super weapon that is designed to zero out all avatars in the world. For some reason. The two fight for a bit, but Wade makes a big mistake in not going for the head.
No! Step 3. No!
Confirmed. Marvel ripped off Ready Player One. All seems lost again, and the villain gets ready to do something. But before we get a setup screen for Ready Player One Part 2, it turns out Wade's avatar survived, thanks to an extra life token he was given by the curator earlier in the movie. So since he is still alive, he is able to get the final key. Unfortunately, Nolan has tracked down the truck they were all working out of and attempts to stop them. Okay, now a junkyard having the bandwidth available to be able to run the Oasis doesn't make any sense. But a moving van running simultaneous VR headsets, that's just impossible. The gang drives to Wade's home in the Stacks, and Wade asks the citizens to help them when they get there.
Everyone watching, if you're in the Columbus Stacks, this is Parzival. My real world name is Wade Watts, and we're gonna need your help.
After an overly long sequence of Wade trying to put in the final key while in the moving van.
Stick the key in! How hard is it?
Seriously, isn't this movie long enough? Wade finally opens the final door and gains access to the Easter egg, as well as the contract he needs to sign to gain control of the Oasis.
This is wrong. This pen, this contract, this can't be the end. It's a test.
Of course it is. Back in the real world, the crew arrives at the Stacks, but Nolan is hot on their trail. Thanks. Yeah, great guys, real big help. Wade is taken to a simulation of Holliday's childhood room and gets some lesson about enjoying the real world or some such. You know, from the guy who created the ultimate escape from reality. Hey kid, don't make the same mistake that I did while I hand you this thing in which I made that mistake. Wade finally gets the real Easter egg.
Something I don't understand. You're not an avatar, are you?
No.
Is Halliday really dead?
Yes.
Then what are you?
Goodbye, Parzival.
What? Was that supposed to mean something? Was that supposed to represent something? Was that a tease for the sequel? When is this movie over? Nolan is arrested. Turns out running an indentured servant program is okay, but they will not abide by reckless driving. Holliday's old partner shows up to give Wade the contract for the company that owns the Oasis, which Wade splits with his clan. I certainly see nothing bad coming from a group of kids with absolutely no business experience running the largest tech company in the world. And it turns out Holliday's partner was the curator guy the whole time.
Well played, Parzival.
Which means he pretty much spent all of his time in the Oasis in those 5 years since Halliday died just helping random people look at his memories. For some reason. I mean, talk about a wasted life, come on. And the movie ends with Wade celebrating his new privileged life and by saying he will close down the Oasis every Tuesday and Thursday for people to live and try to improve the real world. Only one day in charge and he's already mad with power. Lesson learned. Look, I don't hate this movie by any stretch. It's more annoying than anything. The only good thing about it is spotting all the references, which many are already dated. But the story and the movie surrounding all of this is just so full of holes and makes no sense. Again, I don't want to say this is a bad movie per se, but it's just not a good movie. Again, it's a movie you would put on to test your HD rig and see all the little things that they put in there, all the little Easter eggs and references and stuff like that, but it's not a good movie. This is a tech demo. This is an oddity that you would just watch every once in a while, but again, once you poured through it, there's not really much going for it because the plot has nothing really to it. It's just kind of boring and predictable and confused. It's just not really my thing, even though you think it would be a movie that would be my thing. I mean, oh, it's a nerd movie. It's got a whole bunch of references. You must love this movie. No, you can't just put a whole bunch of references in something and make it good. It has to be good first, and then if it has the references in it, then that's just icing on the cake. But you have to have a movie in there that actually sustains those references, and Ready Player One just does not have it. And honestly, even though I know that there's some changes between the movie and the book, I'm not really anticipating Ready Player 1 2, or Ready Player 2, whatever it's called. I think it's Ready Player 2. I'm not really anticipating it. I don't really see where it can go. Not sure if it's going to be a prequel, or if it's one of those books that has the tradition that they're doing now of like it's the same story but told in a different perspective. Maybe it's in Artemis's perspective. That would be so lame, but whatever. We'll see what happens when it comes. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I'm the One Nerd, and that was just my opinion. Greetings all, this is the One Nerd. I want to thank you for watching this review to this point. Just giving I wanted to go back to these little audio only outros here where I can really go unscripted and just kind of get all the information that I need to out there. If you did enjoy this video, I would hope that you give a like onto it, share it around to people, whatever. Leave a comment, of course, of how you felt about the movie. If you felt differently than me, I'm certainly want to hear from you. New videos are coming soon. I know that some of them have been delayed. This review and of course my audiobook series have been delayed. I am the biggest reason for that is for this delay is I am working more overtime right now. They're offering a lot of overtime at work, and I'm doing as much as I can because I need the money for a new car. So I'm doing as much as I can for that to work a real job and work the overtime for that real job in order for me to get a new car to afford that. So I do apologize. More videos are coming, I swear. New parts are coming for my audiobook series. So just please be patient with me. I know that I've had a lot of delays before, but please be patient. I am working on new stuff for the channel, and specifically that kind of content. If you wanted to contact me for any reason, be it just to drop a line or to have any setup for me, any jobs that might require my services as a writer, as a voice actor, as an actor, or anything like that, you can contact me at contact@theonenerd.com. That's all spelled out, contact@theonenerd.com. And of course, you can check out my Twitter account. Give me a follow there. I talk about just about, I don't really tweet much, I mostly reply, but you can check out my Twitter account there anyway at @the_1_nerd. And of course, all this information is down in the description of the video. I want to thank you once again for watching up to this point. This is The One Nerd, and I hope you guys have a good one, honestly. Stay safe out there, and, be good.